So my dad was, I'm named after my dad. My dad is Christian Antonio, and I'm Christian Anthony Cortez, and he was born in New York City with his brother Oscar. Uh, my grandmother, Angelica Patiño, was my grandma's name, and she came here illegally from Colombia. She was escaping civil war in our country and had already had three kids over there from different fathers, and so she came. She came to New York because we had some family here, and then ended up meeting her husband, my grandfather, and who was also an illegal immigrant from Colombia, and so they met and had my uncle Oscar and my dad. And so my dad was born and raised in New York until he was about 17. And then he was kicked out of the house when he was 16. My grandmother kicked him out because he was, fucking around in the streets and stuff. And so he was put into Rikers for a year for some drug charges and whatnot. And so after they let him out, he got out. And it was never put on his record because he wasn't convicted of anything. He was just waiting a year for the sentencing, and then I guess they threw the case out because there wasn't enough evidence or whatever, so he wasn't ever convicted and was able to leave. And my grandma had since, at that time, already moved to Houston, which is where I'm from, because she had family down there. She ended up liking it and then moved over there. So after my dad got out of jail, he moved to Houston. So he was around 17, 18 at the time when he re-enrolled in high school, and ended up going to the high school where he met my mom. And so he and my mom had me. They weren't married or anything. They were just dating. And then they had me. And he stuck around for a little bit, and then moved back to New York shortly after I was born, because him and my mom just had a lot of differences and stuff. And he got a really good position working for Continental Airlines as an executive over there in New York. So he moved up there, had my brother, and then moved back down here when I was like 7, because he couldn't be away from me for he just didn't want to be a father from New York, So and now he lives in Houston and he loves it. My sister was born down there, and yeah, he's always supported what I want to do. I kind of like matured both my parents since I came unexpectedly and at a time where they were like, still very young. And so he's always been, in the contrary to Arthur McCaig for Donald, my dad has kind of always been there, or at least tried to be a part of my life in some kind of way, and still continues to support me and visit me. He works, his company's based out of here in New York, so he comes up, every couple months or so. And he was actually here this past weekend, so I got to spend some time with him.